Hello everybody, welcome to English for today. It is Wednesday the 27th of January and we are continuing our work today all about superheroes, and yesterday we had the exciting time of designing and creating our own superhero. So over today and tomorrow we're going to start to put all of our information about our superheroes into a fact file, just like the one that we read on Monday. Okay, let's get started. The first thing I would like you to do is your handwriting. So if you've got a copy of the worksheet, you can use the lines provided. If you've not got a copy of the worksheet, that's okay. You can do this on some paper now. Again, it's been the same all week. There are two different spellings. So if you are in the spelling bees group, the word that I would like you to practice is apple. Look at how this letter is doubled. There are two letter P's in this word, and then again we've got that all ending, haven't we? Apple. Okay, I'd like you to write that word 3 times for me. Remember, the letter P is a descender, it touches the bottom red line, and the letter L is an ascender, so it needs to touch the top red line. If you are in the wise owls, the word that I would like you to practice today is shout, because one of the spelling rules that you're looking at this week is owl shout it out. So I would really like you guys to have a practice of that word shout. And remember, the letter H is an ascender. It stands tall and touches the top red line. And then the letter T is a teenager. So it doesn't touch the red line, but it sits just below it. I would like you to pause the video now and choose the word that matches your spelling group, either the spelling bees, yours is over here, or the wise owls, yours is over here. Pause the video, off you go. On to our starter for today. I've got a different picture to show you. It's of a different superhero. It's of Spider-Man today instead of Batman from yesterday. And I would like you to write me a sentence using the word because. I want a sentence about this picture that includes the word because. Now remember, because is a joining word. It joins two sentences together, and when we use because, it usually explains the first part of the sentence. Okay, so I would like you to pause the video here. We've done plenty of sentences using because. Pause the video here and I would like you to write me a sentence using because about this picture. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly recap what we are learning. This week we're writing our own fact file about our own superhero, and we now know that a fact file is a collection of information all about a subject. On Monday, this was the one that we looked at. We looked at a good example of a fact file, and this was the one all about Spider-Man. And we briefly recapped on it yesterday, and I just want to mention it again today. So we know that each section of the fact file we know is called a subheading, and then underneath it we're provided with a bit more information about that subject. Okay, the most exciting part, yesterday you designed your own superhero. So in the space you drew your picture and labelled them hopefully, and then you went through all of those key bits of information, just like I did for my superhero, Victorious Violet. Okay, and in today's lesson, we're not going to write the whole fact file. In today's lesson, we're going to write the first 3 subheadings. We're going to split it up into 2 parts. We're going to write the first 3 subheadings today, and then tomorrow we'll write the next 3. And that's just because that's how we would usually do that in school. We would break down a big piece of writing into 2 or 3 parts, and that's what we're going to do. So let's start writing our fact file. Okay, the first part of our fact file is going to be the introductory sentence, the first sentence that we read, and this sentence tells us who we will be reading about, and it makes us want to read more. So if we're the reader, it makes the reader want to read some more. Okay, here is my introductory sentence. And in your introductory sentence, just like me, I want you to make sure that you include a question. Okay, and I'm going to read mine to you now, but just as a little thought to be having, I need you to include a question. Have you ever heard of Victorious Violet? She is the new superhero in town. With violet clothes and a piercing stare, she is the greatest hero of all. That phrase there, piercing stare, means that she's got a real, when she stares at something, her eyes are really piercing, they're really sharp. Not really, it's just a fancy way of describing how her eyes look. So you're going to write your introductory sentence and it must include a question. So you might say, do you want to know more about the brave, strong action man, or whatever your superhero is called? Okay, it must include a question. So I would like you to pause the video and I would like you now to write your introductory sentence. I've also put mine up on the screen. Mine is here for anyone who might be stuck and who might need to magpie some of my work. So you might magpie, have you ever heard of, and then change the name of your superhero because yours isn't called Victorious Violet. Okay, so I would like you to pause the video and have a go at writing your introductory sentence now. Fabulous, on to subheading 2. This is where we're going to write about the history of our superhero, so where they come from. Okay, it tells the reader where your superhero came from. Is it a far off planet? Is it a mysterious land? Or are they a bit like Spider-Man and they're just a regular human with special powers? Because when we read the fact file on Monday about Spider-Man, it told us that he was just an ordinary guy who was bitten by a radioactive spider. So maybe your superhero was an ordinary person until something strange happened to them. So have a little think about what the history of your superhero is, and I'm going to show you mine. Here's mine. Victorious Violet is thousands years old. She has lived on the planet Jupiter with her mum, granddad, and twin brothers. She has always had special powers, and they run a secret superhero base and one day received an emergency SOS call from Earth. She now lives in New York City, fighting crime and saving those in need. So that's my idea of where my superhero came from. And the thing that I want you to include in your history of your superhero is the word and. And remember, we use and to join two ideas together. I really want an and sentence written somewhere in your history of the superhero. So you can pause the video here and you can have a go now at writing your next subheading. Where does your superhero come from? Again, you might want to magpie some of mine. Maybe your first sentence is going to be about how old your superhero is, where they've lived before, where they've come from. Maybe they've just arrived somewhere new. You'll need to tell me that in this section here. Pause the video and have a go at writing what's the history of your superhero. It's okay to magpie some of mine, but think of some ideas of your own too. The final subheading that we're going to be looking at in today's lesson is subheading 3, who are your enemies? So your superhero must be enemies with someone. So this is what we're going to think about now. It tells the reader who your enemies are. Do you have just one enemy or do you have lots of them? Think about who your superhero is going to come up against. Let's have a little think about who your enemies are, and I'm going to show you mine now. This is what I've written for my subheading about my enemies. Victorious Violet and her family have made many enemies over the years. The most evil enemy of all is Dr. Shark, because he enjoys causing destruction and mayhem throughout the city. So that's the main enemy that my superhero comes up against, Dr. Shark. And Dr. Shark likes to cause mayhem and destruction in New York City. What I would like you guys to do when you're writing this subheading is to include a because sentence. And remember, we use because as a joining word to explain something. So it's Dr. Shark because, and then I've said the reason why he likes causing destruction and mayhem. I would like you now to think about who your enemies are so we can write the next subheading. Over to you. Pause the video here and come up with some ideas about who your enemies are. You might want to just write about one enemy. You might want to write about a couple that your superhero has. And remember, I'm looking for a because sentence in your writing. I just wanted to show you the worksheet, and hopefully by now, if you've been doing it at the same time as me, then you will have filled in the 3 parts of your fact file, of the start of your fact file anyway. And then I've included some words at the bottom as a bit of a word bank for you, should you want to include them. But remember, this is just a plan. Okay, this is our planning. This isn't the fact file. This is just for us to get our ideas down. And then tomorrow we're going to write the next 3 subheadings all about our superhero. Okay, I cannot wait to see your ideas. And remember, there are 3 key things that I'm looking for today. I'm looking for a question in your introduction. Okay, I'm looking for an and sentence in your history of a superhero, and I'm also looking for a because sentence. Those are the 3 key features that I'm searching for in your writing today. Have fun writing, and I cannot wait to read the first 3 subheadings of your fact file.